Tonight, trade war escalation. Donald Trump turns heel from the negotiating table. Details on his latest trade tactic. Plus, Reptilia's rent dispute.
Our biggest concern is the animals that are located at that facility.
The exotic animal zoo in a court battle with a landlord. And giving blood, always appreciated. The local appeal before an expected slowdown.
A huge need for donors during the summer months.
CTV News with Carlye Fiset.
Good evening. Thanks for joining us. We begin tonight with the latest economic turbulence caused by President Donald Trump. The American leader announced today he's walking away from negotiations with Canada, terminating trade talks effective immediately. As Judy Trin reports, there appears to be one particular issue at play here.
As the Prime Minister was hosting a virtual meeting to update his cabinet on U.S. trade negotiations, the President dropped a bombshell. On social media, Trump said because of Canada's digital services tax on American technology companies, he's terminating all discussions on trade with Canada, effective immediately.
We have all the cards. We have every single one. We don't want to do anything bad, but they have, economically, we have such power over Canada.
Speaking to CTV News after the Trump announcement, the Foreign Affairs Minister says the government is committed to continuing talks.
We will seek to have these unjustified tariffs removed. And that is the reason why we, because of the complexity of the negotiations, will not be having that conversation in public.
Tech companies that have revenues of more than $20 million, like Google, Meta, and Airbnb, are subject to the 3% digital sales tax. The first payment is due Monday. It's unclear if the Prime Minister knew this was coming, but in Brussels earlier this week, Carney spoke more cautiously about the progress of trade talks.
We'll do what's right for Canada. We're working hard to get a deal, but we'll accept the right deal with the United States. The right deal is possible, but it's nothing's assured.
Over the past several years, both the Biden administration and Trump have called the digital tax discriminatory against American companies. This former deputy prime minister says the tax can be scrapped to save negotiations.
I think the digital services tax is expendable in the context of getting a trade negotiation settled with the United States. But I don't think that if you've got something in a negotiation that you're willing to give up, you don't offer that off the top.
For months, the government has been trying to get punishing U.S. tariffs on steel, aluminum, and autos removed and stave off future duties. Now Trump says he will tell Canada, along with other countries, what tariff rate it will pay. The Parliamentary Budget Officer estimates that the federal government would get more than $7 billion over 5 years with the digital services tax. Analysts say it's unlikely Donald Trump will return to the negotiating table without the removal or pause of this tax. Judy Trin, CTV News, Ottawa.
The embattled reptile zoo in Westmount Mall has landed in court over a rent dispute with its landlord. Daryl Newcomb has more details from the court documents and the concerns from animal rights advocates.
The claws are out in a legal dispute over Reptilia's 20-year lease at Westmount Shopping Centre. A statement of claim filed by the mall against the reptile zoo in February alleges, quote, the tenant failed to pay the full rent to the landlord for the months of October, November, and December 2024, as well as January and February 2025. The lawsuit seeks rent arrears and a payment from a minutes of settlement totaling just over $250,000. However, in its statement of defense filed June 20th, Reptilia rejects the allegations made by the mall. It points to a lengthy legal dispute with the City of London about whether the provincially licensed reptile zoo is subject to London's animal control bylaw that forbids displaying exotic species. Reptilia argues its lease includes a clause that, quote, in the event that the City of London or any other authority having jurisdiction requires any amendments to the zoning bylaw or regulations to permit the tenant tenant's use. Set out in this section 9.01A of this lease, the landlord shall be responsible at its sole cost and expense. Reptilia goes on to say in its statement of defense that it's experienced financial consequences and therefore it's launching a countersuit against the mall. Reptilia is seeking $1.275 million for negligent misrepresentation and breach of contract, citing, quote, significant media attention which negatively impacted Reptilia London's operations, including the number of visitors to its facilities. Additionally, as a result of the decision by the City of London, many educational facilities, including school boards, refused to work with Reptilia London based on concerns of Reptilia London's operations being in contravention of the Animal Control Bylaw. Zoo Check Canada says the legal documents are cause for further concern among animal welfare advocates.
Our biggest concern is the animals that are located at that facility. Obviously, that's a great concern to us whenever we start hearing that there's these ongoing battles in court and assertions that the finances just aren't there.
Reptilia continues to operate inside the mall. John Winston, who has been engaged with Reptilia since it first came to London, tells CTV News, quote, this is a landlord-tenant dispute. Rest assured that care of the animals is not and would never be compromised. Zoo Check Canada says it obtained emails through a Freedom of Information Act request showing that last year the Thames Valley District School Board said at the time it would not take students on field trips to Reptilia, mentioning the investigation by City Hall.
The school boards, rightly so, do not consider it a proper way to educate children.
The operator of Westmount Shopping Centre has not yet responded to CTV News. Allegations made in the statement of claim, statement of defence, and counterclaim have not been tested in court. Daryl Newcomb, CTV News.
The Western Fair Agriplex has a new name and corporate sponsor.
We would like to welcome you to the new JR Expo Center.
A local construction company bought the naming rights for a 10-year term. The announcement was made at an event on site late this afternoon, and neither side disclosed just how much the naming rights cost.
In addition to the big equipment you see in this room, we hope to see a lot more of it. This venue has hosted many events throughout the year. We're looking to bring more in and really solidify southwestern Ontario as the event center so people don't always have to go to the GTA.
We hope to expand on the agricultural foundation and bringing in other industries, especially construction. We think there's a huge opportunity to bring our construction community from west of Toronto into a facility that is not currently available outside of Toronto.
Good evening. It was a hot and sticky day across the region, the humidity climbing this afternoon. We have a cold front on the move, and that has sparked a severe thunderstorm watch stretching all the way from Grey and Bruce County through Huron, Perth, and London, Oxford included in this, Elgin County, Chatham, and Lambton, including Windsor, Essex. We have this front that's approaching, and a line of severe weather has developed out ahead of it. Now, this line will continue to make the move across the area. It's been a bit slow moving over the past hour. However, I am expecting thunderstorms to move through southern Ontario as we move through the evening. The main threats are strong wind gusts, upwards of 90 kilometers per hour, torrential downpours associated with these storms as well. Temperatures extremely warm out there, anywhere from 27 to 31, but feeling like 36 to 42. I'll take you through the forecast. This front will bring some drier air into the area, but a nice weekend on the way. Slight risk for showers. I'll tell you when coming up.
Thanks very much, Julie. Sarnia police say they've laid charges against a woman they say reached for a knife when confronted by officers. Police released this surveillance video, which they say shows the arrest yesterday at a gas station. Officers reportedly approached the woman, believing she had stolen a shopping cart. They say the woman told them she had a weapon and was going to use it. Police say they found a large knife in her backpack, and she was also wanted on an outstanding warrant by London police. Police say they're looking for a federal offender who may be in London. They say Kenneth Andrew Carruthers is wanted for breaching his release terms. The 48-year-old is described as white, 5'11", 190 pounds, with several tattoos, and police say he may also be in Sarnia. A 24-year-old man who pleaded guilty to assault and weapon charges did not show up for his sentencing hearing today. Randeep Singh had pleaded guilty in the fall related to a road rage incident in September 2022. Police seized replica firearms after searching his home. Singh was expected at his sentencing hearing today at the London courthouse, but didn't show, so a bench warrant was issued for his arrest, and his lawyer has now removed himself from the case. The province's education minister says the government is taking control of more school boards, some of the largest ones in Ontario. With more on that decision and further changes under consideration, here's Siobhan Morris.
The education minister making a big statement on the last day of the school year, taking over boards he says have been mismanaged.
Where trustees have failed, where students are being shortchanged, we will act.
Supervisors have been appointed for some of the biggest boards in the country. The Toronto District School Board, Toronto Catholic District School Board, Dufferin Peel Catholic District School Board, and the Ottawa Carleton District School Board.
These boards have had multiple opportunities to address their structural financial issues, and time and again, they have failed to do so.
The government singles out TDSB trustees for rejecting almost half the cost-saving measures recommended to them by staff. The Dufferin Peel Catholic Board faces
a whole host of other challenges which frankly have put it at the brink of bankruptcy, and it's time that the government steps in and puts them back on track.
Supervisors have been charged with getting boards back to balance and on sound financial footing for the long term. But Calandra continues to hint much bigger changes lie ahead.
A broader rethink of the governance structure of boards is required. This is an important first step.
Opposition parties say the real problem is not enough funding.
The government starting to pick a fight and blaming the situation in education squarely on school boards. I don't think that's balanced or reasonable.
Picking at the appointment of Conservative insiders.
It's not going to make any difference to have a supervisor in there, especially not one with no experience in education, if the government isn't just going to fill that funding gap and make sure that the money is there to provide the supports that our kids need.
At the very end of his announcement, Calandra added that he's directed his ministry
to pause for 1 year any changes to the curriculum so that a more central, more consistent curriculum can be brought forward.
That includes a planned overhaul of the kindergarten program, mandatory learning on the Holocaust and Black Canadian history. Educators are welcoming the delay. The incoming president of the Ontario Secondary School Teachers Federation writing in part, a pause in the curriculum rollout is the right move. The process has been rushed with little meaningful consultation with the teachers and education workers expected to deliver it. OSSTF is looking to work with the government to get this right. The goal is to have that curriculum ready for the 2026-27 school year. At Queen's Park, Siobhan Morris, CTV News.
There are now 2 open seats on the London Police Service Board. Megan Walker was appointed by the province for a 3-year term in 2022, which expired earlier this year. And according to her, the provincial government chose not to extend it. The other board vacancy was created when former chair Ali Chabar resigned earlier this year. Walker was the executive director of the London Abused Women's Centre for nearly 25 years and says her work on recognizing femicide and intimate partner violence is among her proudest accomplishments.
Well, so everybody brings to the board their own strengths and skills and backgrounds. And my background clearly is in ending male violence against women and legislating femicide. And so I was able to bring that to the table. Those issues were addressed and accepted by the board as positions that we would move forward on. And so that was pretty exciting.
Tourism London officials say years of work went into their bid for a pair of major Canadian athletic events. Western's Alumni Stadium will host 2 national track and field championships before the next Summer Olympics. Jerry Dewan has more on the preparations.
It's hard to find a time when athletes aren't working out at Western Alumni Stadium.
I've trained here since I was like 7 years old, so it's like ideal for me.
Last year, Chloe Knox won gold in the U Sports track and field competition and bronze in the Canadian Track and Field Championships. She's recovering from injury this year, but wants the chance to compete in her hometown.
My goal moving forward would be to finish on the podium for the next couple Canadian Championships.
Western, in partnership with Tourism London and the London Western Track and Field Club, will host the Canadian Track and Field Championships in August of 2027 and the Bell Track and Field Trials in June of 2028.
The biggest events that Athletics Canada has, and we're so fortunate to work with them and all of our partners around the city to really showcase our community.
Like a track athlete getting in shape for a major competition, Western University has been getting Alumni Stadium in shape for these championships.
It makes it a fantastic facility, right for the smallest track and field incoming athlete in the clubs here to an Olympian like Alicia Newman and Damian Warner.
The track, the field, the grandstands, stadium lighting, scoreboard, and sound systems have all been or will be upgraded, all to ensure facilities retain certification from track and field's governing bodies.
We have to adhere to the standards. So the lines were painted by an IAAF certified line painter brought in from Europe to paint the lines for us.
Time set at the events here in London can be used as qualifying times for international events. And Christine Stapleton says the word is already out. This is a fast track. That effort is giving local athletes a special opportunity.
I've grown up in London. We'd always have to travel to meets, so it's nice to have these big events here for us to just kind of showcase without having to go far.
Morgan Reevy says the announcement had an immediate impact.
That kind of lit a fire under everyone's butt to just really keep everything in gear and to just get there, be healthy, and be ready to go.
We're hoping that an event like this can create that legacy for the next generation to see these athletes firsthand, grow our community sport groups, grow the sport.
Jarvis is hoping London will now be put in the rotation of cities to host major track events. Jerry Dewan, CTV News.
Canadian Blood Service officials are appealing for donors with an expected summer slowdown on the way. As Rita Ismail reports, when donations drop, the need does not.
With the Canada Day long weekend just around the corner, Canadian Blood Services is putting out a call. They need donors now.
A huge need for donors during the summer months. We find that donors are busy with vacations, enjoying family time with nice weather.
The need doesn't stop for holidays, and neither do donor clinics, including in London, where appointments are available throughout the weekend. And for first-timers, staff say the process is simple.
When you come in to donate, make sure you bring a physical piece of government-issued ID, be well hydrated, have eaten, and have a good night's sleep. And the rest leave to us, and we'll walk you through the entire process.
For many, donating blood is more than a good deed. It's a routine with personal meaning.
I come to give blood because it makes me feel good, and over the years, members of my family and some friends needed blood transfusions, so it's important to me to donate.
Easy, fast, and they are so welcoming and heartwarming, and I love coming here every once in a while.
I have a blood condition called hemochromatosis, which is basically just too much iron in my blood, and so I give regularly. Brings my iron level down, and it's good for the blood center.
And then there are people like Bob, who's been rolling up his sleeves for decades.
I've been donating now every week for 30 years. Started as a competition with a friend to try and catch him. He had more donations, and I caught him.
Canadian Blood Services say 3/4 of donors see giving blood as part of their Canadian identity, a small act with life-saving power. To learn more about how you can donate, head over to blood.ca. Rita Ismail, CTV News.
A local father is preparing for a cross-country cycling trip honoring his late son. Along the way, he's raising money for a new hospice. With more, here's Sean Irvin.
It will soon be 1 year since 8-year-old Luke Johnson lost his battle with brain cancer. The Port Dover boy had been active throughout his short life, even running a 3-kilometer race just before entering hospice. The picture from that day is now tattooed on his father's arm.
And he was strong. He persevered in the midst of just terribleness of cancer in his brain.
Dan Johnson will carry his son with him as he prepares to cycle between Vancouver and Port Dover in Luke's memory. He'll also raise funds for a new hospice in Norfolk County.
We're not thinking about ourselves anymore. We're thinking about everyone in our community that could be a phone call away from something like this.
Now, if all goes according to plan, the Live Like Luke Canada Crossing will depart the West Coast and arrive in Port Dover 53 days later on August 23rd. Through the support of a long list of sponsors, the Live Like Luke Canada Crossing has been fully funded and has already raised nearly $20,000. The support includes an extensive social media campaign featuring daily videos of the ride on social media channels and the Live Like Luke Johnson website. The goal is for each family in the area to donate $50. Luke's siblings believe it is achievable. They point to the comfort the family received at a Brantford hospice during their brother's final days.
It was so much more calm, and it wasn't so chaotic as the hospital was.
1 year later, as the family prepares to cross Canada together, they'll hold Luke's memory close.
We have sadness and we have good memories. And so, yeah, it's an ongoing journey of grief. It's never going to end.
But through their faith, they believe they'll realize Luke's dream of achieving a legacy just like his hero, Terry Fox, did.
Luke will get across Canada with the help of his dad on a bike, the help of his family, and our whole community behind saying, "Go, Luke, go," and live like Luke.
In Norfolk County, Sean Irvin, CTV News.
When we come back, the gas leak scare in Wheatley passes without a repeat of a downtown explosion. Plus, a new era for the Toronto Raptors. Team president Masai Ujiri departing the franchise after more than a decade in charge.
Download the CTV News app and stay on top of local stories as they unfold.
We begin tonight with Ontario's latest.
Customize your feed and watch live wherever you are. CTVLondon.ca, your home for news.
CTV London has your chance to unleash your inner Tarzan. Enter now at CTVLondon.ca for your chance to win a 4-pack of passes to Bowler Mountain Treetop Adventure Park.
Residents in Wheatley were allowed to return home late last night after a gas leak forced evacuations. They were following emergency protocols put in place after the 2021 downtown explosion. With more on where the gas was coming from yesterday, here's Bob Belichico.
If they smell gas, call 911.
That's exactly what residents did Thursday, triggering emergency procedures born from 2021's devastating explosion on Erie Street in Wheatley. Residents on Foster Street were told to leave their homes after a business owner said he smelled gas and saw something bubbling out of the sewer behind the library.
We were able to monitor the gas at source, which showed that we had quite high concentrations of hydrogen sulfide. But we're also able to utilize our new equipment.
A machine with a gas monitor drove around the area, ensuring the gas wasn't traveling any further. Chatham-Kent Fire Chief Chris Case says evacuation protocols were implemented and about 30 homes, including Becky and Bugsy Lamb, were evacuated, giving them flashbacks of being out of their home for almost 2 years following the 2021 explosion. But thankfully, the evacuation only lasted a night.
We just had a team of wonderful people show up to the house here and help get us through all this. I'm explaining what's going on as far as they know right now.
The gas flowed from the ground for about 4 hours after the initial early afternoon calls.
We're continuing to monitor. There's been no indication of anything outside of a very small perimeter that's maybe 2 feet since what time? It was about 7 o'clock last night.
Residents were allowed to return to their homes after 1 a.m.
Some homes were checked by firefighters for the presence of gas to make sure that it was safe, and none was found.
Teresa Watson, an engineer consultant familiar with the 2021 explosion, flew in and feels confident the source of the leak has been discovered.
There's more investigation to do, but right now from the historical record checking that I've done, it appears that there was a water well there back in the 1930s.
A stack has been installed to allow the gas to escape and not build up. The area will continue to be monitored into next week.
We'll probably bring in a water well driller to properly abandon that water well. That's, of course, making sure it's confirmed that that is actually what it is.
Bob Belichico, CTV News.
The Toronto Raptors are parting ways with the architect behind the franchise's lone NBA championship. Team president Masai Ujiri won't return for the final year of his contract, dismissed the day after the NBA draft. With more on that decision, here's Adrian Gobriel.
June 2019, Ujiri was basking in the glow of a championship. 6 years later, almost to the day, the proud president has been shown the door.
Today's not an easy day. But as you know, change is never easy.
While acknowledging Ujiri's accomplishments, Maple Leaf Sports and Entertainment CEO Keith Pelly felt now was the time for change.
Keith, you're in the business of winning. What has led you and the board at MLSC to believe that the Raptors are better positioned to win without Masai than with him?
I can't unequivocally answer your question right now because I don't know the answer.
Recently, Bell Canada, the parent company of CTV News, sold its stake in the Raptors and MLSE to Rogers Communications, who are now the majority owners.
I mean, I saw Masai a couple days ago. He seemed jovial. He seemed like himself.
We now know Ujiri was told at the beginning of the month that he was going to be let go and that he asked to stay on and help the team through the NBA draft. One league insider believes the eye-opening move is about the bottom line.
This was a cost-cutting move, first and foremost. He was already one of the highest-paid executives in sports, if not the highest paid.
Ujiri was bold and brazen when it came to his love of Canada, Toronto, and the Raptors. Fined by the league for dropping an F-bomb during an unexpected playoff run in 2014. A philanthropist championing his Giants of Africa charity, he also had the support and friendship of former U.S. President Barack Obama. In the front office, he orchestrated multiple trades, which led to a championship that he was unable to fully enjoy after being pushed by a police officer and initially refused entry onto the court to celebrate with his team. In what would be his final season-ending press conference with the Raptors in April, Ujiri, as always, had his eye on winning.
We just have to win another one, and we will win another one here. Yeah, and that's how I feel inside.
In the end, Masai Ujiri took a team that was a perennial playoff disappointment and turned them into a champion, while always encouraging Canadian basketball fans to hold their head high and always be proud of their team, their city, and their country. Adrian Gobriel, CTV News, Toronto.
City officials say the Byron outdoor pool is closed for repairs. They say there's electrical damage to its pumping station caused by a storm this week. Recreational programs at the Brock Lane facility have been canceled for the coming week. All other outdoor municipal pools and wading pools will open for the season tomorrow. And with the heat we felt this week, that is welcome news for many people here in London. But it is not just the heat we're talking about, more storm activity.
Yeah, we have a cold front coming in tonight, and this one bringing some strong storms right now in and around Port Elgin. So north of the Grand Bend area, you can see, that should say Grand Bend, not Buller Mountain. But in terms of beach weather, it was a great beach day, and they're not dealing with the storms just yet, but coming in the next hour and a half. 29 degrees are high today, 19 degrees are low when you compare that with what's normal for this time of year. Yes, it was hotter than we typically are. It felt like the upper 30s. As we take a look at the satellite radar, big storms right now coming into Bruce County. We have some strong storms moving out over Lake Huron, and this line stretches all the way down, just starting to approach Lambton County. So I mentioned Grand Bend. We'll see some storms in the next hour and a half, and as you can see, this line is going to trek its way through. Now, the main threats are torrential downpours and damaging wind gusts associated with this storm. It's really a cold front that'll just slump its way through. Now, the air mass, not a big change, and behind it will still remain very warm overnight. It'll be tomorrow morning when things shift a bit. So we still have a chance for showers as the front itself comes through in the morning, and the winds will be shifting northwest behind it. So as we take a look at conditions across the country, it's been cool in Western Canada and through the interior of British Columbia, and the cool air has spread into Alberta. And then we get into the warm stuff as we push past southern Saskatchewan and into Manitoba. Northwestern Ontario on the cooler side at 21, and in through the GTA 25 degrees. Overnight, 20 to 21. Winds across the area have been out of the south, southwest as we head into tomorrow morning. Still under a southerly flow early, but shifting to the northwest as we head into the afternoon. So this takes us past 8 to 9 o'clock tonight, and you can see some very heavy storm action towards southern Huron County, moving through London 9:30 to 10 p.m. p.m. and then continuing its eastward trek towards the GTA. Saturday morning, we could squeeze out a little shower, but expecting most of the moisture to strip away. The front will come through fairly dry and the winds shifting to the northwest in behind it. Now, as we head into your Sunday, this forecast model just introducing a slight risk for a pop-up shower. I'm not expecting a whole lot in the area on Sunday. We should get through the day nice and dry with some beautiful conditions. Now, this photo of Port Stanley was taken on Canada Day last year, so I thought a great one to share with you this evening. So tomorrow morning, 22 degrees, 25 by lunchtime, and 26 heading into the afternoon under a nice mix of sun and cloud. Our Metal Roof Outlet forecast for your Sunday, mainly sunny. We'll take the high to 29, and then heading into Monday, chance of showers, a 60% chance of rain. Now the high 30 degrees, so that means that there will be some sunshine. It's a warm front that's coming in, putting us back in the warm sector and back into the heat and humidity. Canada Day morning, we could see a few showers first thing, but breaking into a mix of sun and cloud. 28 Wednesday, Thursday into Friday, a mix of sun and cloud to push us through midweek. The main threat for showers will come into our area on a Monday and early Tuesday morning. Overnight lows nice as well. So I know many of you are planning some vacation time, school's out, so lots of people getting outdoors. Forecast delivers in terms of some nice conditions. So this weekend, it's not going to be completely wall-to-wall sunshine, but we do have some nice weather to get us through. Saturday morning, we could squeeze out a little shower. It will be cool, though, in cottage country. Temperatures to the north, especially along the shoreline of Lake Huron with a northerly wind developing in the afternoon, will be cool as we head towards Wyerton and the Bruce. Temperatures in the upper teens. Mainly sunny on Sunday across the area at 28 degrees with some showers in the forecast on Monday as the warm air moves back in. So it'll be hot and sticky by Monday afternoon. And then for Canada Day, looking like a nice summer heat with us. Chance for showers first thing, Carlyle. But other than that, we'll be breaking into a mix of sun and cloud.
All right. Sounds good. Thanks, Julie.
Thanks.
Coming up, the inherent risk of home renovations offered by door-to-door contractors.
On the latest episode of In Conversation with Rita Ismail, the Honourable Ed Holder joins me to chat about his time as London's 64th mayor and his life after retirement.
In Conversation with Rita Ismail, available at iHeartRadio or wherever you get your podcasts.
Catch us in the iHeartRadio Pure Country Countdown this weekend, Saturdays at 9, Sundays at 4. We're going to be talking about an artist who hasn't been on tour in over a decade.
Plus, we've got new music from Bailey Zimmerman, Luke Combs, Lainey Wilson, like literally everybody. So just join us this weekend.
New data from Stats Canada shows our GDP was down slightly in April. It's its largest drop in 3 years. Gross domestic product was down 1.1% in April, following a 0.2% increase the month before. There was a notable hit to the manufacturing sector, 1.9%, its largest drop in 4 years. Wholesale trade saw the same decrease, its largest since 2023. Provincial police are warning about door-to-door contractors pulling paving and roofing scams. As Pat Foran reports, they use fake names, demand cash up front, then disappear well before the job is done.
Paulette Blenman of Ajax is unhappy with her recently paved driveway. It's lumpy and uneven. The pavers who were going door to door charged her $6,000 and left a huge pile of debris behind.
All the information is not correct. They don't answer their phone. There's no way you can leave a message. You can't send an email. You just can't contact them.
Did these guys just come and knock on your door?
They just knock on the door.
Someone also knocked on Luigi Raffaele's door in East York. A contractor said he would do a ceiling job and other work, but once he was paid $3,900, he never came back.
I feel cheated. I feel that's not nice.
The OPP issued a warning saying contractors are going door to door across the province, pressuring homeowners into paving driveways, repairing roofs, and other home renovations.
They may seem very professional. They'll have their flyers, their websites, but often they'll be using fake names, false IDs.
Someone also knocked on James Blewett's door in Guelph and offered to pave his driveway. They also left behind a massive pile of old asphalt and no contact information.
It's cheap looking and I'm not happy with it.
Jennifer Mason, also of Guelph, paid pavers in cash and was left with an unfinished driveway and a giant pile of debris.
Sounded too good to be true, but I didn't listen to my gut instinct.
they'll ask for cash up front. And in the end, they'll leave behind some poor quality work, and then you'll never see them again.
To avoid driveway, roofing, and renovation scams, beware of unsolicited door-to-door sales. Don't be pressured into having work done. Research companies carefully, get multiple quotes, and don't pay in advance. Police say if you're not careful, you could be the one picking up the pieces of a botched paving job. Pat Foran, CTV News.
Canada's main stock index finished lower to end the week after Trump announced he was terminating trade discussions with Canada. The TSX fell 60 points. In New York, the Dow gained 432. The Nasdaq added 106. The Canadian dollar fell 1/5 of a cent. On commodity markets, gold dropped $60 an ounce and oil added 28 cents a barrel. Later on CTV News, small town pride on full display. A community-wide initiative sharing Canadian patriotism on front lawns. Welcome back. The Liberal government's bill aimed at fast-tracking major projects is now law. The law was introduced as Bill C-5. It allows the federal government to sidestep environmental protections and other legislation to advance projects officials consider vital to our national economy. Indigenous and environmental groups say the legislation grants the federal government the ability to rush projects without proper consultation.
The last thing we need now, with everything that's happening in the world and Trump changing his mind every second day in a tweet, is to have lengthy, protracted, expensive litigation. That will hold up projects a lot longer than had they come to the table and started the environmental review process.
A police dog was injured during a field search in Burlington yesterday. According to Halton Police, the dog stepped on a gun which went off, injuring its paw. They say the dog has been treated and will recover. Police say they've arrested 2 suspects related to the initial robbery investigation. Toronto police say they're investigating a violent smash-and-grab robbery at a pair of Mississauga jewelry stores. Police say the thieves wore masks, smashing through 2 stores at the Erin Mills Town Centre, then getting away in a vehicle. According to police, initial 911 calls reported gunfire, but they say that was later determined to be the sounds of the hammers smashing display cases. Bylaw officials are going undercover, testing tobacco and vape retailers to see if they're selling to minors. They're doing so by hiring teenagers, and in Ottawa, some are as young as 14 years old. Katie Griffin reports.
This security video showing a young boy at Vape Canada in the Byward Market trying to buy something.
When he walked in here, I asked, what are you looking for? Because obviously I can't tell you anything in here.
Kieran Cousins thought he was lost. He went outside and saw the teen getting into a bylaw vehicle.
And was like, yep, we start them young so they can learn, and told me that, quote, what do you want me to do? Not do my job?
The whole purpose of this is to ensure that establishments are complying with the provisions of the Smoke-Free Ontario Act.
As mandated by that act, the city hires kids between 14 and 17 years old to inspect each retailer selling tobacco and vaping products twice a year to ensure they're not selling to minors, supervised by tobacco enforcement officers.
Basically, they're going with one of our officers to a store they're entering, and they're, trying to buy these types of products, and we'll issue a charge if there is a sale there.
So far this year, there have been 657 youth inspections across the city and 46 charges laid for selling to someone under the age of 19. This month, the Renfrew County and District Health Unit posting this job ad looking for youth inspectors.
That's how you would catch them, yes. Definitely. I totally agree that the city should do this.
The vape store's issue isn't with an undercover inspection, but with who is doing it.
It's very disappointing to see them purposely sending in kids that look like they're 12 years old. He was still very visibly uncomfortable, and the footage in both stores shows that plainly. He's playing with his drawstring and very nervous and doesn't even really know what he's asking me for.
Katie Griffin, CTV News.
Canada Day festivities. I love seeing all the beautiful Canada flags. Thanks for sending this photo in, Jana. Heading into the weekend, we do have the chance for showers Saturday morning, but we'll clear in the afternoon. It's going to be a hot one. Daytime high 26, but feeling like the mid-30s. Sun-filled skies Sunday and the chance of rainfall Monday.
Canadian consular officials say they're trying to find out more information about the death of a Canadian man while in custody of U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement. According to the agency, Johnny Noviello was found unresponsive in Miami on June 23rd. He had been in the U.S. since 1988, becoming a permanent resident about 3 years later. ICE officials say Noviello was detained while facing deportation over a 2023 conviction for racketeering and drug trafficking. No cause of death has been released publicly. Officials in the Dominican Republic say a Canadian tourist has died there. Authorities say a 33-year-old man was walking on the beach in the early morning hours, and about an hour later, a 911 call reported a missing person on the beach, and his body was found in the water. Officials with Global Affairs Canada say they are providing his family with consular assistance. New research on Canadian glaciers suggests they're not doing well. They're melting at record paces, far exceeding anything seen in the last half-century. With more, here's Sinjin Alexander.
This is one of thousands of glaciers in BC, and if you look closely, you'll spot researchers below as the drone flies by. These are scientists examining one of hundreds of glaciers in Switzerland. Teams on both sides are alarmed by what they're finding. A rapid, unprecedented melt.
When we drilled this stake in the last September, the ice surface was somewhere up here.
Research led by the University of Northern BC finds glaciers in Western Canada and Switzerland are showing the largest loss on record, especially in the last 4 years. These long bodies of dense ice are supposed to melt. The ice turns to fresh water and then are replenished in the colder months. It's just that we're taking far more out than we're putting back.
In late summer, the glaciers are still representing and delivering lots of runoff to our streams, but they are stealing from the future.
In the U.S. and Western Canada, UNBC researchers estimate we lost more than 22 gigatons of ice. In perspective, that's enough to bury Metro Toronto under 35 meters of meltwater.
The glaciers are not in a healthy state. They are in what's called an imbalance with present-day climate.
It's a Swiss cheese that is getting more holes everywhere. And these holes are collapsing, and it's not good for the glacier.
They say much of it is being caused by our drier and hotter summers. The melt is also uncovering darker ice below, which of course attracts heat.
We want these glaciers to be nice and bright, so they will reflect more energy coming in from sunlight.
And then there's evidence that the residual effects of wildfires are only making it worse.
Fallout from that smoke, impurities such as soot and ash, and we are believing that that is also playing a fundamental role in the darkening of these surfaces.
Scientists say rapid melts can have impacts on drinking water, natural hazards, even tourism. Sinjin Alexander, CTV News, Vancouver.
NASA has released a new image suggesting water once flowed on Mars. The picture shows a series of crisscrossing ridges called a boxwork pattern. They are believed to have formed from groundwater trickling through cracks in the rocks billions of years ago. Minerals the water left behind have hardened within the rock, and after eons of sandblasting, the rock was carved away, revealing the network of ridges. The images were captured by NASA's Curiosity rover.
London's top stories.
We have breaking news tonight out of Ottawa. The latest in the
breaking news alerts.
I'm tracking an area of severe weather. It'll start.
And watch live.
A development now to a story from City Hall we brought you.
Download the CTV News app.
Welcome back. A new survey is shedding light on Canadian pride trends ahead of Canada Day. The new Angus Reid poll shows nearly 80% of respondents said they're proud to call Canada home. Almost half said they're very proud. People here in Ontario and Atlantic Canada top the list. Less so out west in Alberta. More than 25% of respondents said they're either not very proud or not proud at all. Well, despite those findings, at least one community in southern Alberta is putting their national pride on display. Mark Villani has more on the initiative, Uniting Neighbours.
On a high river street awash in red and white, James Young says the flag placed on his front lawn symbolizes a deep connection to his country.
We need to make sure that we don't forget where we came from. And I think it's very important that the people that made this land free don't get forgotten about and we don't quit on them.
It's why volunteers are loading these flags onto trucks. and hammering pins into the ground. Led by members of the High River Rotary Club, flags are rented for $50 each year and placed on front lawns 3 times annually for the May long weekend, Canada Day celebrations, and Labor Day. What started with just 100 flags back in 2019 has now grown into a sea of over 600 this year.
And you can probably imagine why that is. There's a certain elbows up nationalism in the country right now, and yeah, people want to display what side they're on.
The funds raised from flag rentals go towards local scholarships, a seniors bus program, food bank supports, and other global initiatives.
It builds our club, brings us all together as members, and gives us a sense of purpose.
Sometimes you get a neighbor coming out and say, how can I get one? When you stand back or you're driving away, you just feel a great sense of accomplishment and being very patriotic.
It's a massive expression of Canadian nationalism and patriotism.
And for people like James Young,
it makes me very proud to be a Canadian.
Programs like this help him demonstrate national pride. His front license plate's a testament to keeping Canada unified as 10 provinces and 3 territories.
We sure hope it's going to stay that way.
Mark Villani, CTV News in High River.
That's it for us. Thanks for watching. For all of us at CTV News London, I'm Carlye Fiset. Have a great weekend.